Okay, so in this problem, we are comparing two groups. So one group are patients with minor burns who received the plasma treatment, and the other group with minor burns who received no plasma treatment. And we are looking at how many had no scars. So in group 1, 259 had no scars of no visible scars after treatment. In group 2, who did not receive plasma treatment, 94 had no scars. So it's a two population problem. Uh, and it's a proportion problem, obviously. All right, and let's see. So out of N1 equals 316 patients who received the treatment, 259 were success. And after out of 419 patients who did not receive the treatment, 94 were success. All right. So obviously P1 hat is R1 by N1. So 0.8196. Point 2243. All right. So is it a chapter 7 problem or chapter 8 problem? It is a chapter 7 problem because they want you to find a 95% CI, 95% confidence interval for P1 minus P2. So it's a chapter 7 problem. So first step 1, first order of business, find the point estimate. The point estimate is P1 hat minus P2 hat. So 0.8196 minus 0.2243 is 0.5953. Next, margin of error. So that's E equals, I need the formula. The formula is ZC times square root of P1 hat 1 minus P1 hat by N1 plus P2 hat 1 minus P2 hat by N2. All right, so by the way, what's ZC? So it's a 95% CI, so your ZC shall be 1.96. So 0.8196 times 1 minus 0.8196 divided by N1, so 316, plus P2 hat 0.2243 times 1 minus 0.2243 divided by N2, so 419. and you take a square root of the whole thing. So 0.9289. All right. All right. So I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake. I should have put a bracket here. Yeah. So 0.9289 looked like really large to me. That's why I had. Okay. So anyway, yes. So what I've written now looks correct. So your margin of error E is 0.0582. So your lower limit is point estimate minus margin of error, which is 0.5371. And your upper limit is point estimate plus margin of error, which is 0.6535. Okay. So what's your 95% CI? For P1 minus P2 is 0.5371, comma 0.6535. Now, explain the meaning of this. So the meaning of this is, so the CI does not contain 0. That much we can agree. Hence, P1 minus P2 cannot be 0. So it's a CI for P1 minus P2. It tells us P1 minus P2 ranges between 0.5371 and 0.6535. So P1 minus P2 cannot be 0. That means they cannot be same. And P1 minus P2 is always positive. Like this is positive, this is positive. So P1 minus P2 is positive. Hence, P1 is bigger than P2. Also, the CI is like positive, comma positive, which means P1 minus P2 is positive. Thus, P1 is bigger than P2, and thus the plasma treatment is effective. All right. Next. So once again, we have two groups, so two populations. So there are two groups. One group, nesting boxes were well hidden, and nesting group in group 2, they were highly visible. Also in group 1, they are well separated from each other, and in group 2, they are grouped closely together. All right. So out of n1 equals 474, R1 equals 270 success, and out of in the group 2, out of 805, R2 equals 27. That's odd. All right. So both of them are 270, but that's okay. So 270 success. Okay. So now, all right, I should have written the following, sorry. So it's a two populations problem, it's a proportions problem. And this is chapter 7 or chapter 8. So we need a 95% CI for P1 minus P2. So forget part A and B. So for part C, we need a 95% CI for P1 minus P2. So chapter 7. First order of business, point estimate. Point estimate of P1 minus P2, which is P1 hat minus P2 hat, which is 0.5696 minus 0.3354. So 0.2342. And next, margin of error. Which is ZC times square root of P1 hat 1 minus P1 hat by N1 plus P2 hat 1 minus P2 hat by N2. By the way, ZC equals 1.96 since we are looking at 95%. So 0.0552. So obviously lower limit equals point estimate minus margin of error and upper limit is point estimate plus margin of error. So 0.2894. Now once again, the confidence interval, so 95% CI is 0.179 comma 0.2894. So it's like positive comma positive. That means P1 minus P2 should always be positive. So P1 minus P2 lies between points 179 and 0.2894. Hence, P1 minus P2 is always positive. That means P1 is bigger than P2, which in this case means so the group 1 method is more successful. The group 1 method is more successful.